Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Hartman here at Ferris Plaza headquarters, 1859 Southeast Port St. Lucie Boulevard in Port St. Lucie. We are coming to you live at Pharus Global. You can find us at pharusglobal.com, where we have an ecosystem of companies all under one roof, helping businesses to grow and eventually reach an exit. And that does include the medical community as well, medical practices. We have everything from outsourced business managed services, meaning financial management and bookkeeping, marketing, HR, payroll, PEO. We have commercial and residential mortgages. We have commercial and personal insurance, lines of insurance. We have IT, full service IT. We have real estate, commercial and residential. And we have medical practice management, billing, and coding, all under one roof, something for everybody. If you have a business or medical practice that's looking to grow, come and look us up at pharusglobal.com. Today, we are excited to have our episode number 36 of the Pharus Global Live at 5. And today we have a special treat. We've got John Lewis of the Healthcare Buyers Club, who's going to be talking today about big company benefits for small companies are possible through Healthcare Buyers Club. If we can find a way to be able to get good quality employees back into your business, this is definitely going to be one of the top ways to do that. So I am excited to have John join us today. If you have any questions for John and you're watching live on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, feel free to drop those questions into the comments section, or if you just want to say hello, we're happy to say hello as well. And without further ado, let's welcome John Lewis.
Hello, Brian.
I'm excited to have you on the show, John. It's been a long time coming. We finally got you here. You're a hard person to book.
Well, I appreciate you having me on your show.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to learning more about it. So before we jump into some questions that I had for you, John, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to this point and what you're doing with Healthcare Buyers Club.
Sure. I spent most of my life in the Houston area. I ran a couple of small banks there, and I ran the real estate division for one of the largest banks in Texas. And what was so interesting about that part of it was that I found out that I got more enjoyment out of making $100,000 to $200,000 loan to a small business than I did a $30 million real estate loan. And it's this passion for helping small businesses that's kind of stayed with me for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then my son and his wife were in New York, and they moved back to Austin. And so my wife and I decided to move over there. And I got hooked up with a fintech startup and a healthcare startup. And a friend of mine was at those companies, kind of in charge of the technology side of it. And so I helped them out as sort of the director of strategic initiatives. So I worked with the business plans and the business models and helping raise funding. And it was so interesting because their business model was to not only bring banking services to the underserved of the world, but also healthcare services to the underserved of the world. And so if you can just imagine, like somebody in India has their little smartphone like that, mm-hmm. and the kid comes up and he's got a rash. Well, what they do is they take a picture of that rash in rural India and they send it to the cloud, and a bunch of smart data comes in and they add knowledge to it, and they immediately send it back down and say, this is what you should do. And so that is infinitely better than just having no information. And so the leverage of technology is incredible in that sort of, and then they charge them 10 rupees, which is like 3 cents or something like that. So that was so interesting, and the knowledge that I gained going through those processes with those startups and raising the funds and the business models. But then we found out that my daughter, who was in Boston, married a guy we didn't find out that she married him. We knew that that was happening.
I was starting to get nervous there for a second.
Exactly. But he was from Sarasota, Florida. And so they moved down here to Sarasota. And then we found out that we were going to have our first grandchild, but it was with her in Sarasota. So we told my son and his wife, sorry, we're going to Sarasota. And so
it's a little
about 3 years ago, we moved here. And but we, of course, we love being near our granddaughter. And in fact, we just had our first grandson this last Thursday.
That's
now we got one of each, and I couldn't be happier. But we love Sarasota. I mean, this is such a nice town, a nice area, and so we're really excited about getting our program off the ground. And backing up just a little bit is that when I got here about 3 years ago, I said I've got to find, with the exposure on the fintech and the healthcare technology side, I've got to find a way to help small businesses, because through that process, I learned that there are like 5 million small businesses with less than 50 employees in the U.S., and less than 30% of those offer any form of healthcare benefits at all. Wow. And the reason that they don't is that they just cannot afford the traditional group insurance plans. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. One of them is the law of large numbers, is that if they have 5 or 6 employees and one of them has significant issues, it just knocks them out of being able to offer affordable healthcare benefits. So I've spent the last couple of years trying to develop a business model that could actually deliver high quality, affordable healthcare services to very small businesses. And we want to be very social mission focused, in that we really want to help those small businesses that have a fairly large number of lower wage earning employees. So we're very social mission driven, and it's taken a long time to put the pieces together, because it wasn't easy to figure this out, but we think we've come up with a business model that can actually make this happen.
It's awesome. When you talk about small businesses, John, what size companies are you referring to? What's your target?
Okay, so from a social mission standpoint, we're really trying to target those with 10 or fewer employees. But that doesn't mean that there aren't ones out there, especially in, say, the restaurant or a retail, where they might have 3 or 4 key people, and then they might have 20 part-time. And so we've actually developed the program so that they can offer some really meaningful benefits for part-time employees as well as their full-time. So it's not a hard rule that it's 10 or less, but in general, there's so many companies out there with fewer than 10 employees that they want to be able to offer benefits so that they can either keep the employees that they've got or hire new ones.
So Healthcare Buyers Club, interesting name. I think it's fantastic. It really tells people a little bit more about what it's all about. What made you jump into this, and what's the competition out there for something like this?
Well, that's interesting. That healthcare is it's messy and it's big, and the healthcare delivery value chain goes all the way from basic primary care to specialty care to emergency circumstances to very expensive treatments to very expensive hospital circumstances. So it's really a lot of companies, and they've raised an incredible amount of money, but what they've done is they've come up with sort of a niche solution along that healthcare delivery value chain. And so they tend to go after the very large companies. And so there's very, very few companies that have developed a solution that addresses sort of the entire healthcare delivery value chain for the very small companies and their employees. And there are some very nice niche solutions that are out there, but there's so many cost gaps that can occur during that healthcare, along the healthcare delivery value chain, that's what we wanted to do. We didn't want to just pick a piecemeal part of it. We wanted to come up with something that addressed all of the cost gaps. We're not perfect. We're trying to get there, but we've made some real progress in being able to address the vast majority of them.
Awesome. That's great. So we have Pete Previtt. Pete, thanks for watching the show. He says direct primary care seems to be a valuable model for both doctors and patients. Want to take that one, John?
Yeah, well, Pete must have done his homework. He, for once. And so, so one of the key aspects, and actually what we're doing is that Healthcare Buyers Club is really a social mission driven healthcare benefit plan design organization, but we also build, as part of the business model, local direct pay, primary care centric healthcare delivery ecosystems. And when we say primary care centric and direct pay, that's exactly what Pete's talking about, is that these primary care physicians that are independent and they have the ability to, and what's so exciting about this part of the business model is there's a lot of passionate primary care physicians out there, but they are so tired of dealing with the insurance companies, is that they really want to have a practice that the majority of their patients are cash pay patients. And the other beauty of that is that so they can not only be their patient's health and wellness advocate, they can also be their patient's cost containment advocate, because they're not tied into a network. They're not tied into referring that patient to within somebody's more expensive network. They can send it to the provider that's the best quality at the best cost for their patient. I'll give you an example of that. And again, exactly what Pete was talking about is my wife had a direct primary care physician, and she wanted her to get a mammogram. And so she had an arrangement with one of the imaging companies here in the Sarasota area, and it's 3D, full, great facility and all that. And for that mammogram, it was $40 cash pay. It's just the cost savings when you pay cash at the date of service is just incredible. And another example of that is she needed some issues with her knee. And so my son-in-law knew one of the top orthopedic guys here in Sarasota, and she went to see him. And all these providers have what they call self-pay rates. And so here's one of the top orthopedic guys, and he sees her, examines her knee, gets an x-ray done. It was $75 for that exam by paying cash. So but you have to have the starting point, and that's where the direct primary care physician comes in, is they're kind of the quarterback of care for their patients. But not only, as I mentioned before, from a quality of care standpoint, but also they can be an invaluable resource and a trusted advisor as to the best cost provider that's out there. Brian, did you want me to continue? We lost the internet connection.
Who did?
Brian.
Oh, how do you know that he texted?
Yeah, he texted me.